Hi Stampers, this is Marie Bennett at blackberriesandcream.net, and today I'm back with another Wondrous Wreath Christmas card. This one was made by ilovepapercrafts.com, Maggie Peterson, who is a Canadian demonstrator. And this card uses crumb cake for the card base, and then a piece of typeset for the next layer on the crumb base. Crumb cake. It also uses a tea lace doily, and that's why I'm doing it next, because the last one I did also used a tea lace doily, and this will give you a chance to compare styles. This is a Christmas card. The last one I did was a birthday card. Okay, so the stamping for this card is done on Very Vanilla. And I wanted to cut this Very Vanilla for you so that you can see my idea of the right way to cut cardstock for when you're cutting it in small pieces. So we want this to be 4 inches wide. So using my Stampin' Trimmer, I'm going to line it up at 4 inches and cut it. Now I'm going to cut this whole piece of cardstock into 4 pieces. So this is the edge that is cut by Stampin'Up. And so I'm going to turn it around so that I don't cut this edge off, because I'm pretty sure that edge is straight. And then I'm going to line that up at 4 inches and cut it off. Then you see I have a 1/2 inch strip. Both sides of this strip have been cut by me, and both of these pieces have a straight edge that was cut by Stampin' Up. So the next thing I want to do is cut it at 5 1/4. So I'm going to line it up at 5 1/4. So now the finished dimension of this piece is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to do the same thing because I want to cut off the edge that I cut and leave the edge that Stampin' Up cut. So cut it at 5 1/4, and now I have 2 pieces. So I'll do the same thing. Put it at 5 1/4, and then turn it around and put it at 5 1/4. There. Now every piece I cut has 2 edges that were cut by the company. And so the next thing I need to do is stamp. And we're going to be using the Wondrous Wreath stamp set for this card. And we're going to use all 3 of these wreath images. So the first, I'll start with the large wreath, which is garden green. And I'm going to turn it over and ink it up this way. I'm using a size E stamp block, I think E, with this wreath because the wreath is larger than a D. Okay. I'm not going to worry about that because that's on the tab and it will be cut off when I use my Thinlit die on the big shot that cuts these out. Okay, so the next layer I'm going to also do in garden green, and that will just give some dimension to some of the leaves. So it should be a darker shade of garden green where these line up. So this time I want to make sure that I line up my leaves, and some of them are double stamped. There. And so you can see that some of the leaves, even though they're all garden green, some of them are darker than the others. Okay, now that's the end of stamping with the garden green. The little berries, where did I put my stamps? There they are. The little berries are small enough to use on the size B block. Alright, so I'm using cherry cobbler for the berries. And I'm going to put my tab pointing straight up and just find a good spot for these berries. There, now my berries are stamped. And that's the end of stamping for the wreath. Using the new basic black archival ink, I'm stamping the sentiment directly on to the piece of Typeset Designer Series paper. And I want the greeting to be at the bottom right piece of the paper. Just leave that there for the ink to soak into the paper. Pull it off, and there we have Happy Wonderful Christmas. And then on the inside we're going to use the other sentiment from the Wondrous Wreath. May happy moments and cherished memories surround you with joy this season. Okay, there we go. This is going to go on the inside of the card. Okay, so now this is going to be adhered to the outside of the card, leaving a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Okay, and the wreath we stamped is going to be cut using the Wonderful Wreath Thinlet on the Big Shot. I'll be right back. Okay, so Maggie did not cut out the center of the wreath. She left that closed. So I'm going to do the same and just adhere this wreath image to the tea lace doily, trying to leave it exactly centered in the doily, as close as I can get. Okay, so now this is going to be adhered to the card using dimensionals. Okay, now before we put the wreath on the card, we need to... I have messed this card up so bad. We need to put this cherry cobbler ribbon from last year's holiday catalog on the card. And it's called Sheer Linen Ribbon, and I believe that it is still available in the clearance section of the Stampin' Up! Website. So if you like this, if I were you, I would go online ASAP and get it. And it will be in the products list of this video if you want to go to my Stampin' Up! Blog page. As you can see, I should have put the ribbon on before I put the designer series paper on. But did I do that? No, I didn't. So now I'm having an issue. I need my snail. Okay, so I'm going to put some snail on the back of this ribbon and adhere it to the DSP with the snail. And just tuck it in. I lucked out because the snail had not thoroughly stuck to the cardstock yet. There. Okay. Now the other thing I need to do is make this into a banner looking thing and not a tail. I have just caused all kinds of trouble for myself on this card. I'm just going to put the glue dot behind where I think the wreath will be and then the glue dot will be covered up by the wreath. There. Alright, so we put 4 dimensionals on the wreath, and now it's time to stick this on there, being careful not to cover up the sentiment right here. And we're almost finished with this card. The last thing there is to do is to use the thinlits to cut out a bow. I'll be right back. Using a scrap piece of cherry cobbler and the thinlits from the Wonderful Wreath thinlet set, I cut out this bow, and the next thing I'm going to do is put a small button on there, gold basic metal buttons, and I'm going to take a glue dot, put the glue dot on the button, put the button on the bow right there, and then I take another glue dot and put that on the wreath, and the card is done. Now, how cute is that? It really was easy. I'm so sorry I messed this up so bad for you guys, but just kind of wade through the mistakes and don't make them, and you'll have fun with this card. So thank you, Maggie, for a wonderful Wondrous Wreath card. And thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and happy stampin'. Bye.